we're going to look at some arguments for the other direction, like really think about them. So this one is from a university. It's an online university. It's I think it's named after the founder.
The left and the right view America and its history very differently. Conservatives view America as President Abraham Lincoln viewed it, as the last best hope of Earth. While acknowledging America's flaws, conservatives regard America as the best society ever created, giving more people of more backgrounds, more freedom, more opportunity, and more affluence than any other society, and doing more good for more people in other countries than any society in history. The left, on the other hand, sees America as having been and continuing to be a very flawed country, morally no better than many and morally inferior to many. The left's view is that America was founded by rich white males who were intent on protecting their race, their wealth, and in many cases, their slaves. America was and remains sexist, intolerant, xenophobic, and bigoted, a country of unacceptable material inequality where the super rich and big corporations have far too much power and influence.
Oh, man. It's
what a crazy thing for the left to say.
Yeah. It's like going back to Lincoln. First of all, everybody's like confused that Lincoln was a Republican. It's just like if Lincoln lived today, he would be a Democrat probably, and nobody would. Yeah, no right-wing source is going to explain why that is. But it does scare me how they have a pretty good graphic designer, and they're going to convince a lot of people with these flying words and illustrations. And yeah, sometimes I come across Prager U videos and I'm like, the beginning makes sense, and then it just like goes off the deep end.
Yeah, I also like, okay, I mean, some of the stuff that they said that the left thinks, it's like, I mean, I guess, you could say, I mean, I don't think there's anything that was listed off that you could possibly argue like isn't still like a problem at all, right? It's like, we solve sexism, that's over now, right? So, but like, especially the thing about like, okay, first that the left says that America was founded by rich white men who wanted to protect their privilege and their power, and in many cases their slaves. Help me out here. Like the way he was saying it suggested that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it's wrong. Like these people weren't slaveholders or they didn't like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like I was a high school history teacher. So it's like, for me, we, do this, there's like a lesson that we're definitely going to do about the Declaration of Independence, the paragraph that was removed about slavery. Mm-hmm. Like every high schooler knows that. Like it's not a question that, so yeah. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wanted to say that slavery would be abolished in the United States. And he was against the king supporting the market of slaves. So it's just.
Yeah, why was that taken out? Like that's, the actual Jefferson paragraph was a little bit like, okay, wait a second, you're gonna like blame the king, like the English made us do this, right? But like whatever,
being idealistic, but
like put that aside, right? Like why is that out? I mean, like this is, to be clear, like I mean, if all he's talking about is like the 1619 Project view, that's like why the American Revolution happened. Okay, that's wrong. But like clearly the left in general doesn't think that, right? Clearly the things that like people with vaguely progressive views who might count as the left for the purposes of a Prager U tirade, like clearly what they just think is that like, yeah, the people who, had power in early America clearly were slaveholders, and they, you know, like in lots of cases, and clearly were very interested in keeping their slaves. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I was never a high school history teacher, but like, I seem to recall that like several decades after that, like there were still a bunch of them who were like super committed to keeping their slaves, and that was like a whole thing in the 1860s. You know, that they you know, were willing to fight to keep their slaves. So I
you know that much.
I vaguely remember 1861, 1865. There was some stuff about people wanting to keep slaves. So again, I don't understand where that's
I guess, okay, so can we take their perspective for a minute and say, okay, these kids, they're going to learn nothing good about America. They're going to hate America. They're going to want to like start Chaz in every city and, you know, burn the police departments down. If we don't teach them that Thomas Jefferson was a good guy, like, I don't think that's going to happen. And
probably not even your students started at Chaz.
Yeah. No, they didn't. And plus, like, that was also, I mean, I guess maybe I spent a lot of time on lefty stuff. I'm like, another article from Emma Goldman won't hurt anybody, you know, but the New York State curriculum was just like, it was pretty lefty. I mean, they had like excerpts from Howard Zinn in the test. I was like, yes. So
all right. So you were in the place where they were actually doing the critical race.
Yeah, this is I was their nightmare for sure. But I even if if you're critical of a history, first of all, I think it just gives you a sense of identity to even know the critical parts of your history. So it is like a net positive in a way. You're like, yeah, America's fucked up. We can bond over that, you know.
Yeah. And then at the end of the video, at the end of the part of the video we watched, he says that the left says that America is this really unequal society where the super rich like have this huge share of wealth. And again, does he have some like stats to show that that's not as true as we think it is? Like I didn't see him in there, right? Like it just sort of seems like the tones is disapproving, but like, is this not true that the super rich have this like huge share of society's resources? I'm pretty sure that is true.
Yeah, I guess the Prager U thing is just to say like lefties believe, you know, and then true fact, and then
and the true fact, like they didn't even bother denying the rest of it. They just said, "Ooh, this crazy leftists believe this." But the true fact they gave at the end was that, okay, one, America is like the best country in the history of anything ever, and I'm not sure how we're measuring that, but like, you know, I mean, I grew up by the Canadian border. I could like rattle off some ways in which that seems better to me, you know. But also, okay, we can argue about that one, and you know, I think some of that's kind of funny because it's like, I've never really understood the whole like, I'm so patriotic, I don't want to improve my society in any way or make it better for people who live here than it already is. We're done, you know, like that seems weird, right? But like, okay, we can argue about that, but then like the United States has done more good for people around
the world. Yeah, that's, I mean,
can we take a global opinion poll on that one?
Where to begin with that? I mean, you could start with the Philippines. They, you know, we fought alongside them against the Spanish, and then they had to fight another war of independence against us. So it's just, our body count is so high around the world. It's just,
yeah, right. Like, I mean, I guess it would be useful, like in that part of the video, all we saw was this sort of wave going around. Like, I don't know, it looked like it was going into Europe and Asia. It's like, I don't know which countries we're talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Marshall Plan. I mean, we did have like a brief moment where where we were working towards development, but also at the same time, like we were helping Nazis after the war, and we were destabilizing a lot of countries. So yeah, I don't know what version of history like you're expected to give. I can't even imagine the textbook you would give to these children. What would you learn about the Cold War? Like, what would
Right.
you like? Would you just skip Vietnam? Like, what are you gonna do?
Right. Well, that's the thing, because like you can talk about, the Marshall Plan, fair enough, and I guess, they'd say, oh, well, okay, sure. So we were like, helping Nazis escape from, justice after World War II so they could help us in the Cold War. And yeah, okay, I guess that's bad. But like, we defeated the Nazis, although that's, like if we're going to play that game, like, okay, so the Soviet Union also did like tons of good for the world then, right?
Yeah,
By,
yeah.
doing its part of that. Yeah, that just seems very seems very strange to me. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.